his administration was dogged by controversies from the Ameri deal to his resignation as a result of his failure to fulfill a promise to fix the power crisis by the end of 2015. Within 1 year of tenure, public opinions gradually changed from viewing him as an expected savior in the era of load shedding to public enemy number one. He, however, thinks differently and believes that he did a good job as a Minister of Power. But do the facts paint a different picture? My guest for tonight is Dr. Kwabena Donkor, Honorable Member of Parliament for Pru East constituency in the Brong-Ahafo region and a former Minister of Power. We'll discuss his legacy and views on the power supply in the country. You are watching The Hard Truth Season 14, proudly brought to you by Murphy Homes and our Industrial City. My name is Nana Akosia Kunidu Asante Samuels. The Hard Truth starts now. Dr. Kwabena Donkor, Member of Parliament for Pru East constituency in the Brong-Ahafo region and former Power Minister, is our guest tonight. Doc, welcome to The Hard Truth.
Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Many, many happy returns.
You look so well. How have you been and how is opposition treating you?
I've been relatively very good. Yeah. My health has been good. And opposition has its challenges, but it has its attractions, less stress.
What are the challenges of being in opposition?
To me, the biggest challenge is this perception we have in Ghanaian politics that wisdom resides only with one side, and that opposition members are by definition mischievous.
Is that not true?
It isn't. It isn't. We are a constructive opposition. Indeed, a loyal opposition, loyal to the Ghanaian state. And we have a responsibility to protect the interests of the state.
Now, affordable and stable power supply is very critical for national development. You know that, and you were a power minister before.
In fact, the one and only power minister.
I see. Yay, hooray. And at your time when Ghana was, going through some crisis, difficult crisis in the energy sector, and it's been 2 years after your exit, as the minister, and what do you think? Has the situation greatly improved? And in your estimation, how far have we come as a nation in providing sustainable power supply for the populace?
The situation has improved considerably. Indeed, since the end of December 2015, we've never had load shedding in Ghana. There have been the occasional outages localized, and for every developing country, that may happen. It may happen because of our very psyche, our total lack of planning. New areas develop overnight, literally. It is not for nothing that in some other jurisdictions, to even install a new air conditioner in your house, you need planning permit. So that the authorities are appraised of new developments. By our building code, you need a building permit. The building permit will tell the utility suppliers that these areas are developing and that you are also obliged to even provide the drawings for your structure. How many conditions that will take? 5, 10. And so you can plan ahead. In our situation, you have areas literally developing overnight so that the transformer serving a small community suddenly becomes inadequate.
Right, but now average production for residential is about 13%, average production for non-residential is about. So yes, you said there's been some improvement and you're talking about planning. So again, coming back to that, looking at all of that and coming straight to the question, did you think it has improved over the years and are we doing badly as a nation?
No, power has improved considerably. It's been relatively very stable. Availability is over 90%. And that's is extremely good.
But let's look at this. What of the necessary safeguards? Has that been put in place to prevent a recurrence of another crisis?
Yes and no. Yes, because we have enough generation and we have 2-3 more plants to come on stream. Indeed, same power. Same power should be on stream by the end of the first quarter this year. You know, Professor Amel's cut the sword for same power.
Yeah.
Early power should come on stream sometime this year. So we have at least 2 new plants coming on stream. And then we have some other new plants in the pipeline. So in terms of generation, we are covered.
So it's not likely to see, some
On
serious
on the generation side, touch wood, we are covered. The challenge is with the economics of it. A former minister for energy once said, we don't have a power crisis, we have a financial crisis.
You don't agree with him?
I do. I was his deputy, Dr. Tiaji. Now that we have adequate generation, the issue then is how do we sustain fuel availability? Fuel supply has been our Achilles heel. The West African gas pipeline has been a white elephant. Oh, will I be allowed to say a blue one?
Let's do to white.
And therefore, the availability of fuel through the West African gas pipeline is being more noticeable by its absence than its presence. Fortunately for us, we now have our own domestic gas. However, we do not produce enough domestic gas to power all our plants, and therefore we're still going to need to either fire crude oil or do what we have started doing, bring in a regasification facility, import liquefied natural gas, and regasify.
Do you see, or what do you see as the positives when it comes to energy?
The first positive is the continuation of what NDC started. I see that as positive. For example, the Cal Power, the 450 megawatt Cal Power batch, I signed the letter to bring it in to come to replace the 225. The government has continued with that, and the bigger batch has arrived. It gives us some economics. Early power, I signed the agreement. Government has continued with that.
So you think the NPP government continuing your projects is quite a positive
Positive.
thing? But let's look at your stint as a Minister of Power. Your legacy it has been shrouded in several controversies, Kwabena, and you became a Power Minister at a time where expectations were quite high in relation to tackling what we call the doomsaw. When Parliament approved your appointment in 2015 or 14 in December, the then Speaker of Parliament, George Aho, has stated that, and he quote, and I quote now, that you must, or much is expected from you as a Power Minister. You didn't meet the expectation, did you?
I did.
I'm listening.
Absolutely. Check the records, whether there's been any load shedding from 16 December 2015 when I declared that load shedding had ended. Absolutely. And that ministry was created out of a crisis. And we went into a crisis footing. In crisis, you are not looking out for finesse.
But Kwabena, again, you did. But what of the populace? Don't you think that it's like you've set your own questions and you've marked them and you are grading them? What of you leaving the grading to us to say, yes, he passed? Most people believe that you didn't do well or you didn't meet the expectation, is what I want to say, when it comes to what you expected
Remember
to do.
In January 2016, the media voted me the Minister of the Year.
Right.
So that is an absolute certification of the work I did.
But again, in an interview with Lexus Bill, I think personality profile, Joy FM, somewhere last year in June, you admitted that even some people within your party or your government didn't believe that load shedding had ended at that time in
precisely.
2015. But if, again, Kwabena, people within your party felt you didn't fix the doomsday, isn't that an indictment on you?
Absolutely not. When you've lived with a negative mindset, remember we had doomsday in 2007, load shedding in 2007, and that was where they brought in Transformer that sold power to us at 28 cents per kilowatt hour. And that was when they brought in those small generators that Dr. Rekubrobe famously called toys. That was in 2007. And then it had persevered into 2013, 2014, 2015. So there was a mindset of negativity. And therefore, when you say, look, it's over, people are likely to say, is it a 9-day wonder? And so some people didn't believe that. But fortunately, history has been a good judge.
Yeah, but why would you? No, I'm asking. What you admitted that yes, it's still lingering around.
No, I'm just asking you a direct question. Has there been any load shedding?
Yes, that's been, yes.
There's not been load shedding.
There has been, but it wasn't not. Very a lengthy thing. I mean, it just comes and goes away.
Go through the records. There's not been.
There's been several.
There's not been load shedding.
I'm listening.
Let me. I've always said there was a difference between load shedding and localized outages. If the transformer serving your area blows, that is not load shedding. Load shedding is when there is a generation deficit leading to a rationing of power nationwide. It's never happened since 16th December.
So if you think you did amazing and you did overly well, why did you resign?
That's a different kettle of fish.
I'm listening.
I resigned because I had to resign. It had taken a toll on my life, on my health and other things. And yet there were people in, I wouldn't even say in the party, in government, who were making my life quite difficult.
Why? What did they do? What did you hear? What was it?
When you have colleagues, not all of them, a few of them, minority, calling think tanks to, as we would say in Ghanaian parlance, pepper you, hammer you. You ask yourself, are these colleagues? But one of the things I have learned in politics is that the other side are your opponents. MPP, they are my opponents. But your real enemies in politics will always come from your side. Unfortunately, that is the reality of life. Yeah. And therefore, I asked myself, is it worth it? But I'm proud of my record. Ever since I left, there's been no new addition to national power supply that I've not been part of. There are still about 3-4 plants that I initiated that.
Kwabena, there were speculations and indications that if you had not resigned like you did, you would have been sacked. Did you foresee this, hence your voluntary exit?
Well, I didn't foresee it. To be truthful, in every government, there will always be factions. There will always be factions. A faction thought I was being overtly too... I was getting
within the government.
Within the government.
Right.
A small minority thought I was probably getting too powerful. Others also thought I was such a critic of my own government as chairman of the Committee of Mines and Energy, and therefore it was time to fix me. But I'm a survivor.
But were you...
I am a political survivor.
How did the presidency and perhaps former President Mahama feel about your performance in tackling the power crisis?
Well, he congratulated me. The State of the Nation Address 2016, he publicly acknowledged my work. Publicly. And I have an excellent relationship with him. The vice president, the then vice president, also did the same. So as far as I was concerned, the two most important people in the presidency, the president and the vice president, were very satisfied with my work.
And no one else mattered. The citizens didn't matter. We didn't
No,
feel you did a good
and that
job.
was why I said
that is okay to you.
No,
you
that
had a
was
pat on your shoulder by the presidency.
That was why I said
that was fine.
That was why I said at the presidency.
Right.
In the country, a lot of people meet me and they congratulate me. Even today, on one of the platforms, somebody said, Kwabena, congrats, you served your nation well. You fixed them so.
You fixed them so.
Yes.
You fixed them so. We'll be right back this day. Welcome back to The Hard Truth. We are proudly brought to you by Dawa Industrial City and Murphy Homes. We still have Dr. Kwabena Donkor, MP for Pru East constituency in the Branga-Hafu region. Doc, we'll come back to The Hard Truth.
Thank you.
One of the issues precipitated by your exit from Power Ministry was your pledge to resign. And, you said you're going to resign if the power crisis was not fixed. Why was it so much of an importance to you to make that pledge?
I believe in certain targets. It pushes you to perform beyond the usual. I've always been an achiever. I've always set myself very difficult targets in life. And when such a challenge, see, today people look back and almost ignore. Look, the biggest cost of the energy crisis was social. The number of people who lost their lives in hospitals, either on the operation theater or in between intermittent supplies. And then the cost to our psyche as a people, it was so great. And therefore, if I was going to lose my life in fixing it, I was prepared to.
But although your pledge again, Kwabena, was laudable, looking at the consequences it generated, do you sometimes feel that making that promise was a miscalculation and on your part, and you do regret it sometimes? Do you regret it?
No, I don't. I did not set out to make a pledge. What happened was, either Elton or somebody from Joy went over in my office, and I said, yes, by the end of the year, we'll have resolved the issues. And he says, what if it doesn't happen? Mm-hmm. And I felt strongly in my spirit that, look,
it will happen.
It will happen. And so, let me put my political life on the line. What it did was it galvanized the ministry. It galvanized, and I had a wonderful set of civil servants in the Ministry of Power. Mm-hmm. We worked beyond the call of duty. Mm-hmm. It galvanized us. It gave us a very specific timeline. Mm.
But this is
and we just got it right.
Let's look at what Abujunapo said. He said that he wished, or he said, I wish, he didn't give that promise and you were under no compulsion. And to be frank with you, he didn't think, you shouldn't have done that anyway. He has a valid point, doesn't he?
Well, if we wanted business as usual, yes, then absolutely. And I was not under any compulsion. Mm. I wasn't. And to be fair with he was my deputy. He worked. We pushed ourselves. And did we have to push ourselves? No, we didn't have to push ourselves.
So
did we want the problem solved?
Sir. Let's put this. I want to understand. You resigned not because you think you didn't fix the power crisis. You resigned because you felt some people within your own party wanted you out. Is that right?
I got to a point when I had delivered on the load shedding. And therefore, if I wasn't going to be applauded, at least I should not be damned. Mm. Especially by elements in your own side, from your own side. You expect the political opposition to make the maximum noise with a bit of mischief. That is to be expected.
But not from your own faction.
From your own faction. And this was a minority. However, a minority that had access. And therefore...
So what? So they talk to the president and say, this guy needs to go, he's getting too powerful. You said that yourself in the beginning, people felt that you're becoming too powerful. I don't know what that powerful means.
No, the president was extremely supportive. In fact, I said it publicly.
But
that
you just said that people who had access
I said they had access
to who
to media,
what?
They had access to power sources, they had access to...
And what's the ultimate of the power source? The presidency. So
yeah, so I am elaborating on that the president was extremely supportive. I could call him at 1 a.m. I had open access to him because that was our number one challenge as a government.
Access to the president.
No. Our number one challenge was load shedding.
Right.
And colleague ministers, I drove my heart to them. Some of them in cabinet stated they were prepared for their budgets, their ministerial budgets, to be slashed in order to support the power ministry. That was our number one challenge. And the president was extremely supportive. So was the vice president.
They're not members within.
No, I mean...
Did you have enemies within your party? Were there enemies within your party?
You are always going to have people who might not like your style, who might not like your zeal, who might not like your political direction, and who might not even like your ideology.
But after your exit, Kwabena, many of us expected John Junapor to take over as a substantive minister, yet he didn't, and set up then the finance minister also acted as power minister. What happened? Couldn't John, take it up, or wasn't he up to the task?
Well, it is in the bosom of the president to appoint ministers and to reassign ministers. He would have had his own calculations and decided this was the way I want to handle the situation.
Was in your opinion, do you think that the former finance minister had more knowledge to act as the power minister?
I don't think it was a question of knowledge. I probably, putting myself in the president's position, he probably would have looked, what was our biggest challenge? Now that we have enough installed capacity, it will be finance. Finance to fuel the plants. So why don't I give the finance minister the responsibility?
That's the finance ministry is a big thing already.
Yeah,
so you worked closely with Junapor. Was he up to the task? I mean, from where you said, you think that when it comes to issues of power, he was that guy?
Anybody appointed a deputy minister is a minister of state, and that person should have some competence to be appointed to that position. And quite often we over-personalize policy. It is a collective decision, and cabinet itself is advisory to the president. And therefore, if the president thinks, in his wisdom, this is the arrangement, that becomes the arrangement.
That's true. But Kwabena, let's look at the pressures of the job. You have stated, you just said just now that you had some health problems, like your BP went up and you said you had diabetes, and I'm sure you anticipated the kind of demands and pressures that came with the job as a power minister. Were you overwhelmed with the magnitude of work you had to do?
Not with the magnitude of work. I love challenges in my life. I love challenges. There was an interesting thing to it. When I was nominated, a very good friend of His Excellency the President John Mahama and a good friend of mine, said to me, Kwabena, and we are sure Papa was him. So I asked why. So we had a good laugh at it. But it was a tax that needed doing. It was an albatross around the neck of the nation. And in my hierarchy of needs, the nation comes before it comes before my political party.
So why were you complaining?
So
myself. Was that a complaint? I have diabetes, I have BP. So why were you complaining then?
Good people of the media, you want explanations for everything. I didn't set out to complain. When you ask, were there any personal consequences? I have a responsibility to be truthful to you. I never complained whilst I was minister. I explained because the media you had asked.
I see, but again, you came into an office and you were expected to be the savior and, to exit as or be there for more times. Public enemy, they call you. You become the public enemy number one. Do you sometimes feel that your efforts in tackling the power crisis has been little appreciated by the Ghanaian populace, and do you think that's a fair judgment to you?
No, fortunately, like as I stated earlier on, the media voted me Minister of the Year in January 2016. So that was an acknowledgement. Yes, a friend told me, Kwabena, at a point we're not prepared to listen to any excuse. We had just had enough. So whatever you say, whether it was sensible or not, we're not prepared to listen. But having resolved the challenge, people look back, people meet me, including people in other political parties, and say, Kwabena, you did well, congratulations. The nation owes a lot to you. But again, it's not personal. I led a team. The credit should go to the team. I was only the 2IC of a team, the second in charge of a team.
So I'm asking, so the media is just a part of it. So generally, do you think that the Ghanaian populace, are fair to you?
Post the load shedding, yes, they have been very fair. You meet people, oh, this is Dr. Kwabena Donkor, oh, why are they? During that period, at the height of it, nobody wanted, like you said, I was public enemy number one. And in my own street where I live, my co-residents, apparently I got to know this later, were extremely angry with me.
Why?
Because they claimed, because I lived there, ECG wanted me to know they were carrying the load shedding out religiously. And therefore...
That included your area?
Yes, and therefore, whereas other areas may tend to have more light, but because I lived there, ECG wanted me to know they were working to instructions. And so they think we had more load shedding in my area than other areas. And it was because of my presence there. But 2016, 2017, I have very good neighbors. And we will laugh over this.
I see.
In the midst of fire, yes, people will react differently. If we look at the biblical Israelis, they told Moses, we should have allowed us to stay in Egypt. Have you brought us here to die in the wilderness? But once they crossed, the same people were those who
Thanks for bringing us here. But in retrospect, Kwabena, was it worth accepting the offer from the former President Mahama to be the power minister? Do you have any regrets?
No, I don't. I don't. Difficult tasks, different days are there for men and women of caliber. If in the midst of a most daunting crisis, you are called upon to lead, it's a de facto recognition of your competence, of your commitment, and of your patriotism. And so I don't regret. And I thank the president for having given me that opportunity.
Thank the former president for having given you that opportunity. If the NDC was to recapture power in 2020, and will reuse your appointment to head the Ministry of Energy, will you take it?
Well, if the president of the day says, Kwabena, this is where I want you to serve, why not? I will gladly take it and serve with all that I have again.
I see. Let's take a look at one of the issues, that continues to haunt you, the Ameri deal. It's one more or less an albatross on your neck, I would say. You have claimed that the agreement with Ameri Energy was clean. If that was the case, why is it generating so much controversy?
Well, it's generating controversy because some people want controversy. Why do I say this? Let's take this glass of water. If you find yourself in a desert and you are dying of thirst, and they offer you this glass of water for $100, I'm very sure you will take it. When you come out of the desert into normal times, you may probably not pay $5 for this glass of water. Therefore, we should keep things in perspective. Particularly, in the Ameri case, the tariff consumers signed on to pay through the agreement is lower than some of the existing tariffs we were paying under normal times. The norm in the power sector is that emergency power costs more. And therefore, if in an emergency you negotiate a tariff which is lower than existing tariffs, you should be congratulated and not damned. But what happened in the Ameri situation was that originally, let me state this publicly for the first time, that I've never done publicly.
I'm listening.
Ameri originally was coming with a company called APR as their EPC and O&M contractor at a price. When the agreement was approved by Parliament, we had a number of days to meet the conditions precedent, one of which was a standby letter of credit for $51 million. The standby letter of credit, it is important this distinction is made. A standby letter of credit is not a payment instrument. Okay. It's a security instrument. We delayed in establishing the standby letter of credit, and they had time to shop around. Fortunately for them, they eventually got a stranded plant.
A stranded plant?
Yes, a brand new stranded plant. And that was how Metka came in. And they said, okay, we could do this for $360 million. If they had come with APR, this whole issue would not have cropped up. My sister, you want to buy a Mercedes-Benz. I love cars, so let me use a Mercedes-Benz. Maybe E63 AMGS. The garage price is $120,000. You're prepared to pay for that. And then you are told that, oh, somebody has ordered a Mercedes-Benz, the same specification, and the gentleman has passed away. His children want to dispose of it, and it's been offered for $80,000. You go for it. Will that mean that the $120,000 was overpriced? No. So, because you got a stranded car, you definitely pay less for the stranded car than you have paid from picking the car from the showroom.
But yes, I get your analysis. But again,
and this happened.
Was that the best you could do?
Mind you, this happened in 2015. The COD, commercial operation date for Ameri, was in January 2016, after I had exited. Yes, the Ghanaian state that I represented has an option knowing that there was an expected rate of return on the project, that by virtue of they laying hands on a stranded plant, had what, let's say, for lack of a better expression, a windfall. The Ghanaian state, as a party to the agreement, could say, look, yes, we are partners. We had agreed this price, but we know that you've had a windfall. Can we have a part of the windfall since you want to do more further business in Ghana? That option had always been open to the Ghanaian state. And I believe that is where we are.
But
listen, particularly, in 2009, when NDC came to power, the government of Ghana, then led by President Kufuor, had signed a $450 million agreement with U.S. EXIM through the Wadi Lamont company to do a rail electrification project. When we took over in 2009, this agreement was passed by Parliament in 2008.
Right.
When we took over in 2009, I was a deputy minister. Under the leadership of Dr. Tinyaji, we sat down with Wadi Lamont and took a second look at the quantities. And we thought in a few areas the quantities were rather on the high side. We renegotiated, saved $38 million, and asked them to build a substation as 10 additional works. That was how the Kintampo substation was built.
So why didn't you ask for a reduction again from what you said?
I had left power. I had left office at the end of 2015.
But you created this mess for someone else to take over.
It wasn't a mess. We resolved the load shedding problem.
And then
where we
at the expense of 500 million and over, that was the best you could do.
Was that the
best option?
Tell me. Take a look at the AXA plant. Take a look at CalPar. In 5 years, we've done the analysis. We would have paid over $600 million for CalPar. In 5 years, we would have paid over $500 million for AXA. Do we get to own the plant after 5 years? No. They can still pack that in and take away.
You indicated, Kwabena. Hold on.
No. Let me develop that argument.
I'm listening.
Let me develop that argument. In 3 years from now, in fact, less than 3 years from now, we are going to own the Ameri plant 100% for zero. Remember, this is the first time we were doing a BOT in the power sector. We could have done a conventional rental, as was done in 2007 with Transtema. Help us, we pay you the tariff, you fix the problem is fixed, take your machine and go. But this time, we are increasing our national wealth. We are increasing that asset.
What are the conditions that comes with it? Yes, come build. We buy our own fuel.
Excuse me.
Like that.
Excuse me. That again is the biggest miseducation that people have. It's a BOT. We don't buy our own fuel. We provide them with fuel. If you look at the tariff.
So providing is what? So who pays for that fuel?
Listen. Let's take Sonon Asogli. I like this talk. Let's take Sonon Asogli.
I'm listening.
Sonon Asogli is provided, VRA provides, under the agreement, provides fuel for Sonon Asogli. You know why? Because when the West African gas pipe...
How much was that?
Excuse me.
You're talking about Sonon now.
Yes.
How much was that?
Excuse me.
Huge figures.
Excuse me.
560.3 million. That's a lot of money.
VRA was given the responsibility by the Ghanaian state to act as an agent for Ghana in terms of the West African gas pipeline gas. on behalf of the Ghanaian state. So all gas coming to Ghana through Nigeria was assigned to VRA as the agent of state. Therefore, when President Kufuor approved the Sono Asogli project, it could only fire gas. Where was the gas going to come from? The gas was going to come from Ghana's consignment, which is being managed for the Ghanaian state by VRA. So the Ministry of Energy says, give Sono Asogli part of the Ghana gas. Does it mean we are paying for Sono Asogli?
So hold on.
No.
So again, in the same with the examples you given, we are not paying for power. We are not.
No, we are not. That is why I say it is a misunderstanding. When VRA says Sono Asogli owes it for gas, it is because ECG has not fully paid Sono Asogli. For Sono Asogli to pay VRA for the gas it has used.
You indicated that VRA was at the forefront of the Ameri deal, yet the deal is costing VRA 11.5 million every month. As at September, hold on, sir. As of September 2017, this translated to an 18-month debt of $218 million. Why would VRA again sanction a deal that is obviously affecting it negatively?
Excuse me.
I'm listening.
Take Tico. Tico takes gas from VRA. Does Tico not owe VRA for gas? Tico does. Because VRA has not paid Tico for its power tariff, the whole of its power tariff, for Tico to be able to pay VRA. Does Sono Asogli not owe VRA for gas? Sono Asogli does.
So do we have to keep adding?
So the situation is that.
Do we need to keep adding?
No. So when you isolate Ameri, when you take the tariff as approved by PURC, the biggest single component of every tariff is the fuel cost. So VRA, in the case of Ameri, is also the agent for the Ghanaian state. VRA will take over the plant in less than 3 years from now. Mind you, VRA has never built any plant. All the thermal plants that VRA is running, they are running those plants on behalf of the state. Each one of them. Good. And therefore, VRA is expected to collect a certain tariff from ECG. Out of that tariff, they pay for the fuel. And then they pay Ghana gas. VRA has its own plant, TAPCO, in Takoradi. VRA owns Ghana gas money for gas consumed by TAPCO. You see, when it sues commentators to isolate only Ameri, VRA owes Ghana gas for gas provided to Sono Asogli, gas provided for Tico, gas provided for TAPCO, and gas provided for Ameri.
Kwabena, chairman of VRA senior staff, I get that, but chairman of VRA senior staff association, as if as Duncan or Dusa, I think he's Dusa, said for every power we pick from Ameri and sell to ECG, we have a deficit of about 10 cents per kilowatt. Have to do with that? Have you asked
him what the deficit is for TAPCO that they own, and what the deficit is for Sono Asogli? No. You see, in setting the VRA tariff, what PULC had done in the past, VRA operates Akosombo and Pond dams, where the cost of generation is about 3 cents per kilowatt hour. The thermal plants, including their own TAPCO, is over 11 cents. So VRA is given a basket tariff, expecting that the low-cost hydro will cross-subsidize the thermal. That is the tariff of VRA. It is put in a box. And that is why we want to separate the hydro from the thermal, so that the cost lines are clear.
So you believe...
If You see,
Kwabena, you believe 516.3 million, it's fine. It's a good deal we had. That was a best.
For that plant?
Yes.
Absolutely. It's cheaper. It's cheaper than the existing plants.
I see. We'll be right back. Welcome back to The Hard Truth, and I still have here with me Dr. Kwabena Donkor, Member of Parliament for Pru East constituency in the Brong-Ahafo region. So, the minority in Parliament has been quite vocal on the Ministry of Trade for cash for seed controversy. They have managed to get, some, or the Speaker, Michael Quay, to constitute a committee to investigate the brouhaha. Some feel that the minority is wasting your time, I would say. Do you feel the whole situation is a waste of time?
Absolutely not.
Listen.
What is the role of the minority, or what is the constitutional role of the minority? It's to put the government on its feet. Will you be happy if it comes out that the Ghanaian president, to go and sit by the Ghanaian president at a forum, you have to pay 100,000? And to sit a little further away, you pay 50,000 or 25,000. It will be like we are selling the presidency or selling the dignity of the office of the president.
And then that wasn't done. I mean, we never heard of it, but
yes.
There's the hard truth. So you think when several forums like that happened, when you were in government, and nothing like that happened with President Mahama, where people had to be seated to sit close to the president?
Well, at least I'm not aware that there was a charge, a fee to be seated closely. You see, there is party fundraising. If it had not been a state event, if it had been a party event, and that MPP was raising funds, and the president as the leader of MPP was there, and this arrangement had taken place, it would have been a different ball game. Political parties raise funds in various ways all over the world.
So can I ask you, Kwabena, do you see President Akufo-Addo as a liar in this case? Because the president cleared the Ministry of Trade of any wrongdoing after investigating the matter by pursuing this matter. Aren't you questioning the president's judgment?
I didn't hear the president personally investigating the matter. What I heard was that he had been briefed. And when you are being briefed, especially by officials of the ministry, remember the ministry kept on shifting positions. Initially, they even denied that it happened. Then further documentation was produced. Oh, it was a private organization. Then we produced further documentation, and they said, oh, the ministry was to have a residual amount if expenses were blah, blah, blah. So I wasn't there when the president was being briefed. I don't know which type of briefing was given to him.
So does that make him a liar?
No, absolutely not. I wouldn't call my president a liar. No. But the president can be deceived. Misrepresentation. Misrepresentation can be made to the president. He could be given a half brief.
But he might have heard a lot of commentaries and a lot of comments on the media.
Yes. The media reports news from a particular perspective, depending on which media is reporting it. It's either black or it's white.
And then he hears it from his own source. And
if he hears it,
so you don't blame the president for towing a certain line, do you?
Absolutely not.
Right, but Second Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Alvin Babin, believes that former President Mahama is not conducting himself in conformity with the recommendations of the Kwesi report. Do you share his views, or do you share similar views?
Have we concluded on the Ministry of Trade saga?
I think so. You said you're not blaming him, so.
No, I'm not. For me, you see, this is so important for the country. Let's investigate the circumstances. Sometimes the act itself may not even be criminal, but processes might have been short-circuited, leading to the state being brought into opprobrium. So let's investigate that. Let's clear that. Let's establish processes.
So that's not a waste of time at all.
It's not a waste of time.
But because of
Absolutely
time,
not.
Right? Let's move on to Babin believing that President Mahama is not conforming. He's not in conformity with the recommendations made in the Kwabena report. Did you share his views?
Well, I'm not in a position. Honorable Babin was a member of the committee. I have not cited the full report. I've cited excerpts. I'm a member of the National Executive Committee. I'm a member of NEC, but I have not cited, I have not read the full report.
Why haven't you? It's not necessary.
Well,
not
no. It's not been made available to some of us.
Why?
Yes, it was presented to the General Secretary. Maybe the functional executive would have seen it.
Do you think, again, within your own party, don't you think that the report needs to be made public to all of you? You need access to the report?
Well, we have different opinions. NDC is a party of a million people. We have different opinions on how this should be. But I am told the report also contains recommendations for going into the next election. Will we want to make that public?
No, but you are a part of that party.
Yes.
So you haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it, and that is why Babin, fortunately, was a member of the committee. So he has had access to the full document. I haven't had.
Haven't had, sure. So, but looking at so we hear that as part of the recommendation, you have to unite with the grassroots, hence your unity works. And then Babin believes that President Mahama is making it all about him, if I can quote him. That do you think that President Mahama it's making the work or all about him and trying to sell himself again to the grassroots?
I don't know. For example, I come from Brong-Ahafo. I would have been at the Techiman walk. I was unable to be there because Parliament had been recalled and we had stayed very late. The last flight had been cancelled. It was foggy. It wasn't worth driving throughout the night.
So hence the work wasn't necessary.
No. So I couldn't be there. In fact, no NDC MP from Brong-Ahafo was in Techiman. No MP because of the circumstances. The work in my constituency, we have our keep fit. We conduct. It's good for the psychology of the masses. It's good for us to show strength in numbers. It is good. Is that the only mode of mobilization? I would say absolutely not. Is it an important tool in our kit box? I would say yes. As to who is organizing it and the personalities behind it, that is another question.
Apart from President Mahama, which of those have expressed their intent to contest to be flag bearers position do you think can lead the party into victory in 2020?
I sincerely think anyone expressing an intention to contest now is not helping the party. The party has a timetable. We have not yet even conducted our branch elections. After branch elections, we'll go to constituency, we'll go to regional, we'll go to national. There is a timetable. I come from the old school, the PNDC cadre school. The loyalty to the party. Loyalty enjoins all of us to wait. If you jump the gun, it isn't right.
So you won't jump the gun, and you don't have any intent of you leading your party in 2020?
I haven't considered that yet.
It's never crossed your mind, sir?
No, anybody in political office, for example, anybody in political office.
Do you have plans of leading the party in 2020, sir?
I haven't considered that yet.
You haven't considered that?
Yes.
And do you think President Mahama, when he will contest again in 2020, can he lead the party again?
I haven't heard him saying he wants to contest.
Do you think he's not said that, but do you believe that he could again lead the party in 2020?
I haven't considered that because my mind is focused on party reorganization. I'm a party animal. My mind is concentrated on reorganization, and that is where we are now.
Right. Thank you so much, sir, for talking to the hard truth. Dr. Kwabena Donkor is the Member of Parliament for Pru East constituency in the Bronx, Ahafo region, and you've been watching The Hard Truth. We are proudly brought to you by Murphy Homes and Dawa Industrial City. What do you make of Dr. Kwabena Donkor's legacy? You can hit us on our social media platforms on your screens right now. My name is Nana Akusia Kunidu Asante Samuels. Catch a repeat of the program tomorrow morning. It's at 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Have a good night. Bye.